Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking at a book from Spiramus. It's this book here. It's called Introduction to European Tax Law. It's now in a second edition, and it's written by 4 people. I have reviewed this book in the past, and the new edition has come out because of changes. It's written by Michael Lang, Pasquale Pistone, Josef Schuch, and Claus. The book, there's some blurb on the back. The book's very light because it's only 200 pages. Right at the back you've got a table of the most useful current ECJ case law, and then the book itself is structured very much along the lines of the chapters itself. You can see the chapter numbering there and the name of the person who's actually written that particular chapter. You've got the headings and so forth. You've got some quite useful diagrams. You've also got a lot of detail. For instance, you can see those diagrams there, and you've got the language that is used very much by the European Union. I've got this one here, the Parent Subsidiary Directive. Now, the problem you've got with this sort of thing is that it's really trying to understand the vocabulary, if you like, of the European Union when it comes to European tax law and where we're going. Because direct taxation, the whole of this area, is very complex and very controversial to many people. Right at the front, you've got a preface to the new edition which explains what is going on because of the changes that are taking place within the member states. There's been a huge amount of assistance. You can see even from the contents that it's not a particularly big book, but it does look at the various directives and the direction in which we're actually going. Now, my wife and I, Elizabeth and I, have written a review of this book which we've given as a title, A Practical Guide for Practitioners Through the Complexities of European Tax Law, because that's what it is. And frankly, it's in its earlier days, when you look at the decades to come, when we start looking at this subject in more depth, as the member states change with the way they do things. So for those of you who are experts either in European law or tax law, but not both, we would certainly recommend this book to you because it's in its second edition and it's designed to address the needs of students and scholars as well as practitioners who may initially feel a bit daunted by the European tax law regime and require expert guidance through its complexities. That's what you've got here. Basically, the book is targeted at 2 kinds of practitioner. Tax law experts who seek greater familiarity with the problems of the compatibility of European law with our systems, and those with expertise in European law generally who wish to enhance their understanding of European tax law specifically. It's not an easy subject. I found it difficult. Even reading some of this stuff in here is not easy. There's no index at the back either, which I think probably would have helped matters. However, to say other things, you've got a useful structure at the front to try and show you what you might be looking for in the individual essays that make up the publication. Acquiring such knowledge as this is almost undoubtedly a good idea in furthering the future progress of your career in this area of law, if that's what you practice, because European law is fast emerging as a strategic element in international tax planning pertaining to cross-border commerce anywhere in the EU. And we are actually in the global community whether we like it or not, and frankly that is really why this book is so worthy. The book originated as a joint project conducted at the Institute for Austrian and International Tax Law in Vienna, and brings together in one handy volume the work that they've done. It's 9 expert researchers who've contributed to this publication. The new second edition is an augmented update of the first edition, which I reviewed some time ago, and they've got additional flow charts and a table of the ECJ cases right at the back, which I showed. In our opinion, the key to the subject, which typically the EU tends to present as more abstruse and opaque than it ideally ought to do, is Vanessa Engelmar's essay on page 43, which in part discusses the fundamental freedoms, namely the free movement of goods, the free movement of workers, the freedom of establishment, the freedom to provide services, and the free movement of capital. It is the last 4 fundamental freedoms, she says, that in particular have an impact on direct taxation. And of course she's right, because at the moment, even now we've got a problem concerning the business of free movement of workers, because that is going to be an issue within the EU. Clearly the member states are going to have to look at that again. Well, let me conclude by saying we would have thought that a clear statement such as the one I've just referred to should really function as an introduction to the entire volume, for surely in one way or another it links all the commentary on direct taxation contained therein, in other words, these fundamental freedoms. The book, nevertheless, in our view, is a worthy compilation of valuable and insightful research, so practitioners and academics alike throughout Europe should therefore find it a most worthwhile acquisition for their law and tax libraries. I certainly think that is the case, because we're only just starting on this, and I think Spiramus have taken a good lead. So thank you to all concerned, and we'll see how things develop. Thank you, bye-bye.